So, Porky, Battlefield has gone in a completely different direction in this season of first-person shooters. Whilst everyone else is leaning hard into the space future, Battlefield 1 has gone all the way back to World War One, the Great War.
That's right, Don. We've gone all the way back to 1914, going into World War One with a whole new Battlefield. Maybe, I don't know if you call it a reboot. They're just calling it Battlefield 1 this time around. But it's definitely a return to form for the Battlefield series we found, both in multiplayer and in the campaign.
Yeah, especially after Battlefield Hardline was such a bit disappointment, and Battlefield 4, well, worked for nobody upon launch.
I tried to play Battlefield at the start of that game in the first week and I just gave up. It was just such a buggy, glitchy mess. This one, Battlefield 1, well, I've been playing on Xbox One and it's just been, the multiplayer has been pretty much perfect for me, the way it's been running.
Yeah, pretty much reliable too. Like on the performance-wise, it just functions at a smooth 60 frames per second, even with 64 players all in the field at once. The maps are large and expansive, which is great if you want to be sniped by the opponent half a mile away.
That's right. Some of the maps are a bit too open, but there's a large variety. You know, Battlefield, it's got your planes, your vehicles, and now they've got kind of big vehicles like the train on one stage that you can get into to kind of get that overpowered feel. It's a little bit like Battlefront, but not quite as overpowered as being in an AT-AT.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of those big, what's called visual flourishes. Like, occasionally your enemy might summon a Zeppelin, and if you knock that down, it crashes onto the map, and it just impacts everything and all the terrain. Not to mention all the destructive terrain. So, like, battles do feel sort of dynamic in that regard, but ultimately, it is kind of still just it's more Battlefield multiplayer, albeit with the kind of powered down guns, because we are dealing with World War One tech here.
There's a couple of additions. There's the horse. You can ride the horse, and that's a lot of fun. You can go around killing someone with a sword when you're on a horse. That's just satisfying when you land that.
Or just bayonet charging as well.
Bayonet charging, I find, is brilliant. It's a move when you're on certain foot soldiers with a bayonet on their weapon can charge at a super fast speed, and I find it's really useful in Battlefield when you find yourself kind of caught out in a sticky situation. You need to travel a lot of ground, make up some ground quickly. You've got this new bayonet charge ability to kind of make up when you can't get in a vehicle.
And like it still feels like something you should really play on PC, but the console versions don't feel too bad compared to PC. But you've also got the campaign, which is actually worth talking about, which is strange for a Battlefield game, because it tells these 5 World War One vignettes, each based around a different corner of Europe.
That's right. You're playing as a different character or characters each time, and a lot of the stories have a particular gimmick to it, where one you're pretty much flying a plane the whole time, another one you're in a tank almost the whole time. They almost kind of come out as glorified training missions for the multiplayer.
But the wrapping around them is interesting because, like, they all sort of give reverence to World War One and the horrors therein. But at the same time, the actual mechanics of the missions when you're playing them, it still feels either like too video gamey or too Battlefieldy. There was like a moment where like people were talking about the horrors of war, but here I am just chain meleeing people, which is kind of dissonant. But at the same time, it's much more than what everyone was expecting out of a Battlefield 1 campaign.
It was pretty satisfying. Yeah, there were some drastic tone shifts, but really for a Battlefield game, I think you're looking at the multiplayer. That's the core of the game, and in this, they've pulled it off really well. It's a blast to play. So if you're looking for your first-person shooter in November full of planes, trains, and automobiles, then I can definitely recommend Battlefield 1.